Good morning. My name is Paul. I will be reading the New Bedford Standard Times for today, Wednesday, May 21st. Local LGBTQ plus members wary of Pope's views on gay issues. This is by Seth Chitwood from the Standard Times USA Today. New Bedford. With Pride Month approaching the world in June, there are questions around the stance of LGBTQ plus rights as Pope Leo the 14th assumes leadership of the Roman Catholic Church. LGBTQ plus advocates have been closely watching to see whether he will continue the more inclusive approach of his predecessor, the late Pope Francis, or change the Catholic Church's stance toward LGBTQ plus community altogether. According to USA Today, Pope Francis, who led the world's 1.4 billion Roman Catholics until his death on April 21st, was widely praised by advocates for his efforts to welcome and engage LGBTQ plus people in the Church. While Francis upheld traditional Catholic teachings maintaining that marriage is a union between a man and a woman and that homosexual acts are intrinsically disordered, his outreach to LGBTQ plus Catholics was seen as a hallmark of his papacy. If a person is gay and seeks God and has goodwill, who am I to judge, he said, and he urged church leaders to stop marginalizing LGBTQ plus people, a shift that has moved the church away from outright condemnation toward greater tolerance and pastoral care. As Pope Leo XIV begins his papacy, the Reverend Donnie Anderson, pastor at United Church of Christ in New Bedford, said she and identifying LGBTQ plus Christians remain hopeful that he will embrace a similar compassionate tone. However, some uncertainty remains due to past statements and positions. I am grateful that this is a man who, over the course of his ministry, has demonstrated concern for the poor, said Anderson. I am seriously concerned about the direction he will lead the church regarding LGBTQ plus community based on his previous statements and his concern over those issues. Anderson, a well-respected LGBTQ plus activist, previously served as pastor at the First Baptist Church of East Greenwich and later on the Rhode Island State Council of Churches as the executive minister until 2020. She came out publicly as a transgender woman at 69 years old. According to a report from the College of Cardinals, Pope Leo XIV, formerly known as Cardinal Robert F. Prevost, voiced concerns in 2012 about what he described as Western society's growing sympathy for the beliefs and practices that contradict the gospel, specifically referencing the homosexual lifestyle and alternative families made up of same-sex partners and their adopted children. At that time, Prevost led the church's Order of St. Augustine. He also critiqued the role of mass media in promoting acceptance of same-sex relationships, suggesting that it clashed with Catholic doctrine. Time will tell, but at this point I think there is reason to have some degree of concern for our community, Anderson said. From just an objective political standpoint, without any particular ideological, Anderson said that the Pope Leo spent most of his career in Peru, where he worked in and among people as a missionary. He has the profile of Francis in that sense of being potentially a pope of the people, but I think his more conservative traditional stance on things like the LGBTQ plus issue, Anderson added, which said makes the conservatives happy. Let's face it, the Roman Catholic Church is nowhere near ready to open its doors to our community, but the progressives certainly want to keep going on issues related to poverty and minoritized people. I'm all in favor of that, she said. Andrew Pollock is board president of the South Coast LGBTQ network and was one of the first gay couples to get married in Massachusetts to his partner Jeff Schmalz. Pollock said they will have to wait and see what happens with Pope Leo, as he doesn't know exactly what the stance will be taken. With Pope Leo's 14th's past remarks and evolving tone, most advocates say that the path forward is now less clear and admit that time will tell, according to USA Today. For me as a Christian who lives in the LGBTQIA+ community, I'm disappointed, Anderson said. Let's face it, the Roman Catholic Church is nowhere near ready to open its doors to our community. Today's weather. Today, cloudy with a cool breeze, high of 54, low of 47. Thursday, windy and cool with rain, high of 52, low of 47. Friday, remaining cloudy and cool, 59 for the high and 48 for the low. Saturday, mainly cloudy with a shower or two, 58 the high, 47 the low. And Sunday, clearing, 63 the high and 45 the low. Candela Cucina jazzes up Italian menu with cast of characters. This is by Seth Chitwood of the Standard Times USA Today Network. New Bedford, while Candela Cucina, the newest addition to the Served Well hospitality group behind the Black Whale and Cisco Kitchen and Bar, unveiled its latest menu cover, diners noticed something special within the illustrations. Alan Carson, Served Well's lead graphic designer and a longtime collaborator of restaurateur Steve Silverstein, brought her theatrical and artistic approach to fill the cover with a cast of characters, capturing not just the energy of a restaurant, but of the Candela community itself. The idea was to really create a lot of movement and excitement that you sort of feel when you're in a place like that. Servers, staff, and longtime supporters of Silverstein's restaurants make cameo appearances in the artwork of specifically people such as Silverstein himself, his wife, and the restaurant's general managers Will Silverstein and Peter Biondi. There are little secret things and Easter eggs, Carlson said, referencing details such as a lottery ticket peeking from a server's pocket and someone reading Moby Dick. There's even a sneak appearance by Carlson herself alongside her partner and friend from Miami who's very eccentric. I took some liberties with the layout of the restaurant just so I could fill it in with as many people as possible, she said. The beautiful colors that Judy Silverstein and Steve have come up with for the restaurant is what I based the palette on and tried to include some of the art that local artists use and Judy has supported. Working on an iPad, she drew every single person as a new layer so that each could be moved and positioned individually around the room. I wanted to be able to move them around the restaurant as they wanted to, so they're all done in an ink line in separate layers. Then I added color behind the whole thing, she said. For Carlson, this menu cover is a highlight in a long partnership with Silverstein and Served Well. I do Steve's graphic design, so I developed all his logos, she said. From the original Not Your Average Joe's to the Black Whale logo, Carlson has been behind all of Served Well's design choices. We kind of thought of it as the film Big Night, the whole idea of Italian-European influence in America, she said, adding that the New Yorker was also an influence. The font I used in the logo was something that came off an old ashtray in a hotel in Italy, so we sort of developed that Big Night feel all the way through the menu design. Next, Carlson is potentially working on a second piece to capture the outdoor scene for the restaurant's summer menu. For me, it's fun to have a restaurant that you kind of want to dress up a little bit for. That's an experience that you don't always get around here. Everything is pretty casual. This really feels like a special place, she said. It feels like if you're really having a date when you go there. And that's what I love about it. Since opening its doors, Candela Cucina is the latest restaurant from the Served Well Hospitality Group, under the guidance of Chef Josh Riazzi, whose resume includes the James Beard award-winning kitchens like Maestro at the Ritz-Carlton and Providence's iconic Al Forno. Candela has found its stride by staying true to Italian classics while giving them a new elevated spark. We've leaned into a more fresh homemade pastas, said Riazzi, who has overseen all of Servedwell's culinary development and operations since 2018. One thing that's been really great for us is to be able to do Italian food that we know and love and try to amp it up. Candela has expanded its offerings since opening, including a lunch service to the previously dinner-only restaurant. Now we're 7 days a week, lunch and dinner, which is great, Riazzi said. We really encourage people to come in for quick lunches as well. Among the menu's most popular items are Candela's playful take on Italian favorites, according to Riazzi, who is proud of the whipped ricotta, which has become a must-try starter. So many people do whipped ricotta, and if we're going to do it, we want to make sure it's the best version, he said. We arrived on this method that really gives us a light, really smooth texture. And the honey, olive oil, and sea salt, you don't need much else than that. As Candela Cucina continues to evolve, Riazzi said, they are working hard to perfect a beloved destination for Italian cuisine in New Bedford. Our goal is to be a great restaurant no matter where we are, and New Bedford's a really great food city. It helps elevate things for us, he said. We've reached the halfway point of today's reading, and there are no obituaries. Dartmouth officials warn of rabid feral cat, by Faith Harrington from the Standard Times and the USA Today Network. Dartmouth. The Dartmouth Board of Health issued a warning to residents that a feral cat in town tested positive for rabies. According to a press release, the cat tested positive for rabies at the Massachusetts State Public Health Laboratory on May 19th. The cat, which had black fur and a white spot on its face, was seen wandering near Oliver Street on May 16th. It was wearing a flea collar. Rabies is a deadly disease transmitted through saliva, usually through a bite. It can be fatal for both humans and animals, so any possible exposure needs immediate medical consultation. Town officials urged that anyone who had contact with the cat between May 8th to 16th reach out to the Massachusetts Department of Public Health at 617-983-6800 or their healthcare provider for a risk assessment. If anyone believes that their pet could have come in contact with the cat, they are asked to call the Dartmouth Animal Control at 508-910-1840. Pay tribute with Memorial Day events in Greater New Bedford. This is by Faith Harrington, the Standard Times and USA Today Network. Memorial Day is the one day of the year set aside to remember the sacrifices of the men and women who died while serving in the U.S. military. This solemn day became a federal holiday in 1971, and it is observed on the last Monday of May every year. Although Memorial Day is often seen as the unofficial start of summer, it is a day that holds great significance in honoring those who have given their lives in service to their country. Across the U.S., it is marked by visiting cemeteries or memorials, holding family gatherings, and participating in parades to remember men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice. Here are the Greater New Bedford events planned to honor and remember this Memorial Day. Monday, May 26th, the Memorial Day parade will be kicking off at 9 a.m. at the Town Landing on Gulf Road. The participants will cross the Padnaram Bridge and Causeway, where the VFW Auxiliary will conduct the ceremonial wreath placement. After that, the procession will turn onto Elm Street and proceed to the Elm Street Cemetery for a ceremony, with festivities concluding at the World War I Memorial outside the old police station on Russell Mills Road. Fairhaven to salute the brave with Memorial Day Parade. Monday, May 26th, the annual Memorial Day Parade steps off from the intersection of Main and Union Streets at 9 a.m. and proceeds north to the Fairhaven High School for the raising of the flag. Then it continues north on Main Street to Riverside Cemetery. At the cemetery, there is a ceremony at the Civil War Monument with participation from military and veterans groups and others. In the event of rain, the ceremony will take place at 9 a.m. at the Senior Center. Fall River has a host of Memorial Day events. Saturday, May 24th, Gold Star Families Candlelight Vigil at 7:30 at the Bicentennial Park with Fall River Gold Star Families and Rolling Thunder Chapter 2. Sunday, May 25th, Polish War Veterans Memorial Ceremony, Massachusetts, and breakfast beginning at 8 a.m. at Blessed Trinity Parish. Memorial Day service and ceremony beginning at 10:15 a.m. at Corky Row Club for parade to Griffin Park, light refreshments after the ceremony. Monday, May 26th, ceremony at 10 a.m. at the War on Terrorism Monument at North Park. Kennedy Park Monument ceremony at 1:30 p.m., followed by a Memorial Day parade on South Main Street. The parade steps off at 2 p.m. from the park down South Main Street to City Hall. Battleship Cove is hosting a Memorial Day ceremony starting at noon at 5 Water Street. Experience a traditional military observance honoring the fallen and Gold Star families and a 21-gun salute. Lakeville commemorative memorial events. Monday, May 26th, there will be a Memorial Day observance and numerous wreath layings to start at 10:30 a.m. at the Town Office Building and Fire Station 346 Bedford Street. The observance will move down to Dickeran Square and the historic Townhouse. Then additional wreaths will be placed at the Honor Roll and World War II Staples Store flagpole. All members of the public are invited. In case of poor weather, the observance will take place indoors at the historic townhouse at the corner of Precinct and Bedford Streets. Marion to hold Memorial Day remembrances. Monday, May 26th, the Memorial Day remembrances and procession will start at 9 a.m. in front of the Music Hall at 164 Front Street. In event of rain, the event will be relocated to the multipurpose room of Sippacan Elementary School. It will be stepping off from the Music Hall northbound on Front Street, marching 0.6 miles up Front Street to the Veterans Memorial at Old Landing. Upon arriving at the Veterans Memorial, the town will pay tribute to our military's honored dead who gave the last full measure of devotion. Residents are encouraged to attend the remembrances as well as stand along the parade route on Front Street between Cottage Street and Ryder Lane. Middleborough set to remember the fallen with a parade and ceremony. On Monday, May 29th, the Memorial Day Parade will kick off at 10 a.m. from the Town Hall parking lot, 10 Nickerson Avenue. The route is as follows: right on Union Street, right on Nickerson Ave, left on South Main Street, left on Center Street to Everett Square, left on High Street, left on Oak Street, right on Center Street, right on South Main Street, and it will conclude on the Town Hall lawn. There will be an 11 a.m. ceremony following the parade at the Veterans Memorial Park with special recognition marking the 20th anniversary of the Middleborough Memorial Park. In the event of inclement weather, the parade will be canceled and the ceremony will be moved indoors at 10 a.m. on the second floor of Town Hall. New Bedford has several events planned for Memorial Day. Saturday, May 24th, the Greater New Bedford Civil War Roundtable will conduct a memorial service at 9 a.m. at the Union Soldiers Burial Site at Rural Cemetery, 149 Dartmouth Street. The service will include a wreath laying, presentations of Logan's Order and the Gettysburg Address, and musical selections. Sunday, May 25th. New Bedford American Legion Post 1 will conduct a Memorial Day exercise at 10 a.m. at the Veterans Plot at Pine Grove Cemetery, 1100 Ashley Boulevard. New Bedford American Legion Post 1 will conduct a Memorial Day exercise at noon at the the Vietnam Veterans Honor Roll on the Williams Street side of City Hall. New Bedford American Legion Post 1 will conduct a Memorial Day Exercise at 8:15 on May 26th at the Veterans Plot at Pine Grove Cemetery, 1100 Ashley Boulevard. The New Bedford Port Society's annual Fisherman's Memorial Day service will take place at 10 a.m. at Pier 3, 51 MacArthur Drive, a procession from Seamen's Bethel. In the event of rain, the event will be held inside Seamen's Bethel. The New Bedford Memorial Day Parade kicks off at 11:30 a.m. from the intersection of Hathaway Boulevard and Parker Street. The parade will march east on Parker Street to County Street, where it will turn left and head north on County Street. The parade will then turn right to head east on Pope Street, where it will make its final turn into Klasky Common Park. The Grand Marshal of the parade is Virginia Senna Davis, a New Bedford native who served 9 years in the U.S. Navy, followed by a long career in health administration with Veterans Services organizations. There will be a Memorial Day service at the reviewing stand at the conclusion of the parade. Rochester will host its annual Memorial Day boat and kayak race. Sunday, May 25th. Memorial Day event is planned for noon at the Rochester Town Hall, which will include several selected readings, a short procession to Daggett Square with additional readings and music. Monday, May 26th, the Rochester Fire Department will sponsor the annual Rochester Memorial Day boat and kayak race on the Mattapoisett River. The event starts at 8:30 a.m. at Grandma Hartley's Reservoir, Snippatuit Road in Rochester, and finishes at the Mattapoisett Herring Weir at River Road and Route 6. Westport to pay tribute with Memorial Day Parade. Monday, May 26th, Westport's annual parade starts at 9:30 a.m. at Westport Town Hall, 816 Main Road, with the placing of a wreath, rifle salute, and the playing of taps at the World War I monument. The half-mile-long parade will then proceed south along Main Road, ending at Beech Grove Cemetery. There will be a ceremony at the Veterans Monument in Beech Grove Cemetery following the parade at 10 a.m. In the event of bad weather, the parade will be canceled and the ceremony will be held at 10 a.m. at the Town Hall Annex Gym at 856 Main Road. Biden's cancer prognosis was hard to predict for several reasons. This is by Ken Alltucker, USA Today. Some speculate that former President Joe Biden, could have known about his cancer for a long time, but it's possible, several doctors said, that his tumor was missed or that he has a particularly aggressive form of cancer that was unlikely to be detected by routine testing. Former President Joe Biden has been diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer that has spread to the bone. Doctors not involved in his care say the diagnosis shows the nuance and challenges of screening for prostate cancer. Some, including President Donald Trump, have suggested that Biden likely knew about his cancer for a long time, but it's possible, several doctors said, that his tumor was missed or that he has a particularly aggressive form that was unlikely to be detected by routine testing. Because prostate cancer is typically so slow growing, men over 70 are not recommended for routine screening. He could be receiving the best medical care that we have to offer as a nation and not be screened for prostate cancer, said Dr. Michael Morris, a Memorial Sloan Kettering oncologist who specializes in treating men with prostate cancer. Excellent care means not under-testing. It also means not over-testing. But someone of Biden's stature would have received regular prostate-specific antigen tests, a blood test used to track prostate cancer risk, said Dr. Lee Richstone, the chair of urology at Northwell Lenox Hill Hospital in New York City. I would be very surprised if his PSA was not followed regularly, even at his age, Richstone said. The result of annual physicals released when Biden was president from 2021 to 2025 did not include any information about PSA screening. Some aggressive forms of prostate cancer yield normal PSA test results, Richstone said. In such cases, cancer can be diagnosed via a rectal exam or an MRI. Other than skin cancer, prostate cancer is the most common cancer among American men, according to the American Cancer Society. An estimated 3.5 men were living with prostate cancer in the United States in 2022, according to NCI. The risk of getting prostate cancer increases with age. Black men are more likely than white men to get it and are twice as likely to die from the disease, according to the American Cancer Society. For most men, prostate cancer is a slow-growing tumor and can be monitored without treatment. When it is caught early, doctors often recommend active surveillance. Only about 2% of men die within 5 years of a prostate cancer diagnosis, according to NCI. Biden's prognosis is hard to predict, particularly without knowing the full details of his tumor or how he will react to treatment. But in cases where the cancer is aggressive, some older patients have a significant risk of dying from prostate cancer, Richstone said. For cancer that has metastasized, the median 5-year survival dips to nearly 38%, according to NCI. While those aggregate numbers represent the overall population, individual patients may survive longer, said Dr. Adish Kluhari, an oncologist at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute in Boston. The prognosis from this point is very much dependent on really how much cancer is actually outside of the prostate, Kluhari said, as well as as well as how the former president responds to treatment. There have been tremendous advancements in the treatment of prostate cancer, even after it has spread to the bone, such that people are living for years and years with this particular diagnosis, he said. The role of screening for prostate cancer has been debated for years amid changing guidelines. The number of prostate cancers diagnosed each year declined from 2007 to 2014, which coincided with changes in screening recommendations, the American Cancer Society said. Since 2014, the rate has increased 3% per year. The influential U.S. Preventative Service Task Force recommends that men aged from 55 to 69 years at typical risk decide whether to screen for prostate cancer with a PSA test. Men should discuss with a doctor the potential benefits and harms of screening before taking a PSA, the task force said. This has been the New Bedford Standard Times for today, Wednesday, May 21st. My name is Paul. Thanks for listening.